If you have noticed your memory slipping lately, if you find yourself walking into rooms and forgetting why you went there, or if you struggle to recall names and words that used to come easily, I need you to stay with me for the next several minutes because what I am about to reveal may explain exactly why your brain is struggling, and more importantly, what you can do to protect it before the damage becomes permanent. This is not about normal aging. This is not about genetics you cannot control. This is about a daily habit that millions of seniors believe is healthy, but is actually accelerating brain deterioration every single morning. Let me make you a clear promise right now. By the end of this video, you will understand the single most deceptive breakfast drink that is quietly destroying brain tissue in seniors across the country. A drink that sounds healthy, looks healthy, and is recommended by people who should know better. You will know exactly how this drink damages your brain at the cellular level and what you need to change immediately. Not next month, not next year. Now. I am Dr. James Mitchell. I have spent over 2 decades working with seniors experiencing memory problems, brain fog, confusion, and the early warning signs of cognitive decline. And one of the most heartbreaking things I witness is how often people are told the wrong story about why their brain is failing them. They are told it is just age. They are told it is genetic. They are told there is nothing they can do but accept it. In the majority of cases I see, none of that is the complete truth. There is almost always a hidden factor, a daily exposure, a habit that seems harmless but is slowly poisoning the brain. So let me ask you one direct question, and I want you to really think about this. Have you noticed your thinking becoming slower or foggier over the past few years? And do you drink fruit juice, especially orange juice, with your breakfast most mornings? Write your answer in the comment section below because awareness is the first step toward protection, and once certain brain damage occurs, we do not get the opportunity to reverse it. Let me tell you about a patient I will call Margaret. Margaret was 71 years old, a retired teacher, sharp her entire life, proud of her memory and her ability to recall details that others forgot. But over the span of about 18 months, something changed. She started forgetting appointments. She would lose track of conversations. She would search for words that used to come instantly. Her family noticed. Her doctor ran some basic tests and told her it was probably just normal aging. Maybe some mild cognitive impairment, nothing to worry too much about yet. But when Margaret came to see me and we dug deeper into her daily habits, we discovered something that shocked her. Every single morning for the past 30 years, Margaret drank a tall glass of orange juice. She believed it was one of the healthiest things she did all day. It was natural. It had vitamin C. It was what healthy people drank. What Margaret did not realize was that this one habit was flooding her brain with something toxic every single morning. When we removed the juice and made a few other strategic changes, her brain fog began to lift within weeks. Her word recall improved. Her family noticed she seemed sharper again. Margaret was lucky. We caught it in time. But many seniors are not so fortunate. Here is the question I want you to hold on to. What is it about this common breakfast drink that makes it so dangerous to the aging brain? And why are millions of seniors unknowingly poisoning themselves every morning? To answer this properly, you need to understand something fundamental about how your brain works and what it needs to stay healthy after the age of 60. Your brain is the most energy-demanding organ in your entire body. It represents only about 2% of your body weight, but consumes roughly 20% of all the energy you produce. And unlike your muscles, which can burn fat or sugar for fuel, your brain cells are extremely particular. They prefer a steady, consistent supply of glucose. The key word there is steady. Your brain does not want sugar spikes. It does not want floods of glucose followed by crashes. It wants stability. It wants consistency. When blood sugar rises too high too fast, something damaging happens inside your brain. Excess sugar in the bloodstream triggers a cascade of harmful events. Inflammation increases. Oxidative stress accelerates. The delicate blood vessels feeding your brain become damaged. And perhaps most importantly, your brain cells begin to develop something called insulin resistance. Insulin resistance in the brain is now being called by many researchers type 3 diabetes. It is strongly linked to memory loss, cognitive decline, and significantly increased risk of dementia. And here is where the breakfast drink comes in. Orange juice and fruit juice in general is essentially liquid sugar without the protective fiber that whole fruit contains. When you eat an actual orange, the fiber slows down sugar absorption. Your blood sugar rises gently and your brain gets a steady supply of fuel. But when you drink orange juice, that fiber is gone. The sugar hits your bloodstream almost as fast as if you drank a soda. Your blood sugar spikes sharply, insulin surges to deal with the excess sugar, and your brain takes the damage. One glass of orange juice contains roughly the same amount of sugar as a glass of cola, sometimes even more. Yet seniors drink it every morning believing they are doing something healthy for their bodies. Let me be very clear about this. I am not saying fruit is bad. Whole fruit eaten properly is fine for most people. I am saying that fruit juice, stripped of fiber and concentrated into liquid sugar, is one of the most deceptive health foods ever marketed to seniors. The damage does not happen overnight. That is why it is so dangerous. It accumulates slowly over months and years. By the time someone notices memory problems or brain fog, the sugar has been doing damage for a very long time. Studies published in the journal Neurology found that people who consumed sugary beverages regularly had measurably smaller brain volumes and significantly worse memory scores compared to those who avoided them. Another study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition linked regular fruit juice consumption to substantially higher rates of dementia in older adults. The research is there. The evidence is mounting. Yet most seniors have never heard this information. Now I want to pause here because I know what some of you are thinking. You might be saying to yourself that you have been drinking orange juice for decades and you feel fine. Or you might be thinking that your grandmother drank juice every day and lived to 90 with a sharp mind. I understand that response. But here is what I have learned after decades of working with seniors. Brain damage from chronic blood sugar exposure varies based on several factors: your genetic resilience, your overall diet, your activity level, how much other sugar you consume throughout the day. Some people can tolerate more abuse than others, but once the damage crosses a certain threshold, symptoms appear rapidly, and by that point significant harm has already occurred. The brain has what we call a cognitive reserve. Think of it like a savings account. Some people have larger reserves due to genetics, education, lifestyle, or pure luck. They can sustain more damage before showing symptoms, but once that reserve is depleted, decline accelerates quickly. This is why two people can have similar habits but different outcomes. One person hits their threshold earlier than another. But make no mistake, the damage is occurring in both. Let me tell you about another patient. His name was Richard, 74 years old, former engineer, incredibly intelligent man who prided himself on his analytical thinking. Richard came to me because he was having trouble following complex conversations. He would lose his train of thought mid-sentence. He described it as feeling like his brain was wrapped in cotton. Richard did not drink soda. He avoided candy and desserts. He thought he was eating healthy. But every morning he drank a large glass of fresh squeezed orange juice. And throughout the day, he snacked on dried fruit and fruit smoothies. Richard was consuming massive amounts of sugar without realizing it, because it was all coming from sources he believed were healthy. When we restructured his eating habits, eliminated the juice, and replaced his snacking with protein-based alternatives, something remarkable happened. Within 6 weeks, Richard reported that the cotton feeling was lifting. His wife said he seemed more present in conversations. His ability to follow complex discussions improved noticeably. We did not cure anything. We simply stopped poisoning his brain every day. Now let me explain the mechanism in more detail because understanding why this happens gives you power to prevent it. When blood sugar spikes repeatedly, several things happen in the brain. First, excess glucose binds to proteins in a process called glycation. These damaged proteins cannot function properly and they accumulate in brain tissue. This is one of the mechanisms behind brain aging. Second, high blood sugar triggers inflammation. The brain has its own immune cells called microglia. When blood sugar spikes, these cells become overactive. They release inflammatory chemicals that damage healthy brain tissue. Chronic low-grade brain inflammation is found in virtually every case of cognitive decline and dementia. Third, repeated blood sugar spikes lead to insulin resistance in the brain. Your brain cells stop responding properly to insulin, and insulin is not just about blood sugar regulation. In the brain, insulin is critical for memory formation, learning, and neural plasticity. When brain cells become insulin resistant, cognitive function declines. Fourth, blood sugar variability damages the tiny blood vessels that feed your brain. These vessels become stiff, narrow, and less able to deliver oxygen and nutrients. Areas of the brain start receiving inadequate blood flow. Brain cells in these areas weaken and eventually die. All of this happens silently. There is no pain. There is no obvious warning sign. just a slow, gradual erosion of cognitive function that most people attribute to normal aging. But it is not normal aging. It is preventable damage. Here is another critical piece of information that most seniors never receive. The timing of when you consume sugar matters almost as much as how much you consume. Drinking fruit juice first thing in the morning on an empty stomach is the worst possible timing. Your body has been fasting all night. Your cells are primed to absorb nutrients quickly. When you flood your empty stomach with liquid sugar, it hits your bloodstream at maximum speed with nothing to slow it down. That morning spike sets the tone for your entire day. It triggers an insulin response that often overshoots, causing blood sugar to crash a few hours later. That crash makes you tired, foggy, and craving more sugar. Many seniors ride this blood sugar roller coaster all day long without understanding why they feel so mentally drained by afternoon. Now let me transition to what actually protects your brain. If liquid sugar is the poison quietly destroying cognitive function, what neutralizes it? What gives your brain the best chance of staying sharp and healthy? The first and most important step is eliminating liquid sugar entirely. No fruit juice, no sweetened coffee drinks, no smoothies made primarily from fruit. No sports drinks or vitamin waters with added sugar. This one change alone removes one of the largest sources of brain-damaging sugar spikes from most seniors' diets. If you love the taste of orange juice, here is what I tell my patients. Eat an actual orange instead. You get the vitamins, you get the fiber, the sugar is absorbed slowly, your blood sugar rises gently, your brain stays protected. One whole orange has roughly the same vitamins as a glass of juice, but with fiber that changes everything about how your body processes it. The second step is restructuring your breakfast entirely. Most traditional breakfast foods are problems. Cereal with milk, toast with jam, pancakes and waffles, muffins and pastries, oatmeal with added sugar and fruit. These foods are essentially sugar delivery systems. They spike blood sugar first thing in the morning when your brain is most vulnerable. A brain-protective breakfast should be built around protein and healthy fats. Eggs are excellent. Avocado provides healthy fats. A small portion of vegetables adds nutrients without sugar spikes. Some seniors do well with a small amount of full-fat Greek yogurt without added sugar. The goal is to give your brain stable fuel that lasts for hours, instead of a quick spike followed by a crash. Let me tell you about a woman I will call Dorothy. She was 68 when she first came to see me complaining of afternoon brain fog that was affecting her work. Dorothy was still professionally active, and her cognitive slowdown was threatening her career. Dorothy ate what she thought was a healthy breakfast every day. Oatmeal with honey, banana slices, and a glass of orange juice. From a conventional nutrition standpoint, it sounded reasonable. But from a brain health standpoint, it was a disaster. She was consuming the equivalent of many teaspoons of sugar in liquid and rapidly digestible form every single morning. We replaced her breakfast with 2 eggs, half an avocado, and a small handful of walnuts. We eliminated the juice entirely. Within 3 weeks, Dorothy reported that her afternoon fog had largely disappeared. Her thinking felt clearer throughout the day. Her energy was more stable. Nothing magical happened. We simply aligned her eating with what her brain actually needed. The third step in protecting your brain is maintaining stable blood sugar throughout the entire day. This means eating meals that combine protein, healthy fats, and fiber-rich vegetables. It means avoiding snacking on high-sugar foods. It means never eating carbohydrates alone. When you do eat carbohydrates, always pair them with protein or fat to slow absorption. A piece of fruit after a meal that contains protein is processed very differently than fruit eaten alone as a snack. The fourth step involves specific nutrients that support brain health and help protect against sugar-related damage. B vitamins, particularly B12, B6, and folate, are essential for brain function and nerve health. Many seniors are deficient in these nutrients, especially those taking certain medications. A deficiency in B12 alone can cause memory problems and cognitive decline that mimics dementia. Omega-3 fatty acids found in fatty fish like salmon and sardines have powerful anti-inflammatory effects in the brain. They support the structure of brain cell membranes and facilitate communication between neurons. Magnesium is involved in hundreds of brain processes, and most seniors do not get enough. It helps regulate blood sugar and supports calm, focused thinking. These nutrients do not reverse damage that has already occurred, but they support brain health and may help slow further decline. The fifth step is movement, specifically walking after meals. When you walk for even 10 to 15 minutes after eating, your muscles absorb sugar from your bloodstream for fuel. This significantly blunts the blood sugar spike that would otherwise occur. Walking after breakfast is particularly powerful because it directly counters the morning spike that causes so much damage. Many of my patients report clearer thinking throughout the day simply from adding a brief morning walk after eating. Now I want to address something important because I believe in being completely honest with you. I cannot promise that these changes will reverse cognitive decline that has already occurred. Brain damage is difficult and sometimes impossible to undo, but I can tell you that stopping the damage from progressing is incredibly valuable. A brain that is declining can stabilize. Memory that is slipping can stop slipping. Cognitive function that is diminishing can level off. That might not sound as exciting as a miracle cure, but for the seniors I work with, stabilization means everything. It means staying independent longer. It means recognizing family members. It means maintaining quality of life. I have seen patients make these changes and experience genuine improvement in their thinking and memory. Whether that represents actual healing or simply the removal of an ongoing insult to the brain, the result is the same. They feel better. They think more clearly. They have more good days than bad ones. Let me tell you about one more patient because his story illustrates what is possible. His name was Walter, 81 years old. His family was preparing to move him to a memory care facility because his confusion had become so severe. He was forgetting recent conversations entirely. He was getting lost in his own neighborhood. When I reviewed Walter's case, I found that he drank fruit juice 3 times per day. He had for years. His diet was extremely high in refined carbohydrates and sugar. His blood sugar control was poor, though he had never been diagnosed as diabetic. His family made dramatic changes. They eliminated all liquid sugar. They restructured his meals around protein and vegetables. They started walking with him after meals. The improvement was not immediate. For the first month, nothing seemed different. But by the second month, his family noticed he was more present. He was following conversations better. He was less confused about where he was and what day it was. Walter did not become the man he was 20 years ago. But the move to memory care was postponed, then postponed again. He was able to stay in his home with his wife for another 3 years. That is what stopping the poison can accomplish. Now let me give you a simple action plan. For the next 30 days, I want you to try the following changes. Eliminate all fruit juice from your diet completely. No exceptions, no small glasses, none. Replace your breakfast with a meal built around protein and healthy fat. Eggs, avocado, nuts, or full-fat dairy without added sugar. When you eat fruit, eat it whole, and only after a meal that contains protein. Never drink fruit as juice or smoothie form. Walk for 10 to 15 minutes after breakfast. If you can walk after lunch and dinner as well, even better. Consider having your B12 levels tested. Deficiency is common in seniors, and the symptoms mimic cognitive decline. Observe what happens. Pay attention to your mental clarity, your energy levels, your ability to focus and remember. Many seniors notice improvement within the first few weeks. Brain fog lifts, thinking becomes clearer. Afternoons feel less exhausting. These are signs that your brain was suffering from something preventable, and that removing the cause is allowing it to function better. I want to end with something I tell every patient who comes to me worried about their brain. There is no magic pill for cognitive decline. Anyone who promises you one is not being honest. But there is also no reason to accept unnecessary decline caused by habits that can be changed. Your brain is remarkably resilient. It wants to function well. When you stop overwhelming it with sugar spikes and start giving it what it actually needs, it often responds in ways that surprise people. The breakfast drink you thought was keeping you healthy may be the very thing undermining your cognitive future. That is difficult to hear, but knowing the truth gives you power. What you do with this information is up to you. But I hope you will take it seriously because your brain is worth protecting, and the time to start is now. If this information helped you, please share it with someone you love who might be making the same mistake every morning. And if you want more content about protecting brain health as you age, subscribe to this channel because I have much more to share with you. Thank you for watching. This is Dr. James Mitchell. Take care of your brain, and it will take care of you.